Good morning to everyone. As I join my voice to the discourse this morning in relation to what appears to be a celebration by the CIP unit and other persons within St. Lucia, I will continue from where my colleague left off. I will begin first of all by taking the opportunity to wish every St. Lucian a happy and peaceful festive season. I trust that we will allow good sense to prevail and conduct ourselves in a manner that is befitting of the season that we are going into. But as an opposition party, we have a responsibility towards the citizens of this country to sound the alarm whenever it is necessary to indicate the concerns of the political party and St. Lucia at large. At this moment, I want to put things into perspective so that we begin to understand, because I believe that the Labour Party is very knowledgeable about the use of diplomatic immunity. And I begin my discourse in this area for the simplest reason. It brings back to mind the issue of Dr. Wali Jufali, who was given diplomatic status for St. Lucia, representing us at the IMO, to which the information is he never attended a meeting. Dr. Ernest Hille at the time was the High Commissioner in the UK. And I remember when Tim asked the question about the diplomatic passports, he said he was not the one issuing diplomatic passports. And that is true, he was not the one issuing diplomatic passports, but he knew what had transpired. I have in my hand here today, when people want to say that their names are cleared, I have in my hand here a letter from the Director of Audit to the Director of Finance, dated February 3rd, 2021. And this letter speaks about an account. The account number is 7391546. 7391546. And from the audit report, it highlights that this account was not opened in the proper manner. That account was opened on the 13th of January 2015. However, supporting information on the manner of which the account was opened, necessary approvals from the Department of External Affairs and the Accountant General was not seen at the embassy. Now, that is not my point of focus. My point of focus is whenever Ernest Hille is featured, there are questionable issues. And I know he has threatened on a number of occasions to take persons to court. He said he has never had an account with anybody except, not even his wife, a joint account. The information here of the £66,180 that was on that account, there are details of these accounts. Where am I going with this? The issue of diplomatic immunity, which the British had requested be withdrawn from Wali Jufali, the government of St. Lucia took a position that they were not going to do so. We were promised and it was mentioned in the Parliament of St. Lucia by none other than Dr. Anthony himself, that we had been promised a research center for diabetes by Dr. Jufali, who had received a number of diplomatic passports for himself and his family. The question still remains, where is the money for that research center? Was that money ever given? Because obviously if you received the passport, then you had your commitments. We come to the issue at hand and the statement made by the CIP unit that they've been vindicated. I take the position today, and I continue to applaud Mr. Martinez for the information that he made available to us in St. Lucia. Prior to his research and his findings, we would not have known of all of these passports and files that have been granted to Galaxy. Now, in my hand here is the agreement dated 3rd November 2023 between the government of St. Lucia, acting herein and represented by the minister with whom the Citizenship by Investment Program is assigned, the Honorable Dr. Ernest Hille, and BMAX LLC, a private limited liability company. And we've dealt with that in the past. But while the CIP unit wants to celebrate, I want them to answer the following questions I am posing. Whereas BMAX has secured the requisite financing, and that is on page 3 of the agreement, the requisite financing of 23 million United States dollars for the construction cost and 2,250,000 for the construction management cost to complete the project. According to this agreement, construction timing, Phase 1, commencing February 1st, 2024. Phase 2, commencing July 1st, 2024. Phase 3, commencing 1st November 2024, an estimated completion time of the project, June 1st, 2025. BMAX was permitted to sell 628 passport files, and a file can be up to 4 passports, at a cost of $100,000 US single and $150,000 per family, raising approximately $90 million for a $25 million project. And as we speak today, anybody can go up to Rock Hall and see that none of the phases have been commenced or have commenced. Phase 1, 2, and 3 should have commenced. Phase 1 and 2 should have been completed. Phase 3 should be ongoing. And Phase 4, or the completion, should be in place. Nothing has happened there. Where is the $90 million that BMAX is supposed to have collected? Because the project never, the agreement does not say BMAX would have to collect the money to do so. The contract says that BMAX had secured the money. The second one I will highlight is the agreement between the CIP unit again and Caribbean Galaxy. This agreement highlights what, and this agreement was made on the 1st of December 2022. Citizenship by Investment Board. Again, here are the persons acting herein and represented by Lon Theophilus, Chairman, and Julian Charles, Deputy Chair of the CIB, and thus duly authorized to act in this part, and Caribbean Galaxy, the developer. In this agreement, another set of thousands of files were granted. We heard the minister say this money does not belong to St. Lucia. I want to know who the money belongs to, and that is for the Canals Resort. The CIP unit, in its haste to put out a press statement of the case pertaining to Mr. Martinez, should be equally eager to tell us the status of these projects, how many of the 5,000 files have been sold, and where the money is. Then we have another agreement between BMAX. This one is a 13-page agreement. This one is a 28-page agreement between Galaxy and the government of St. Lucia. And this agreement was made on the 26th day of March, 2000. Let me get the correct date for you. I'm looking at the wrong document. The arrangement with Galaxy on the, I have too many documents here, on the, not the real estate, the infrastructure project. Apparently, I misplaced my infrastructure agreement. But the infrastructure agreement to spend $100 million in infrastructure projects, which was to be paid through the sale of our CIP passports, we have not seen the year of infrastructure bring out anything. Yes, this one is a 15-page document. The government of St. Lucia herein acting by the, and this was dated the 12th, or came into effect the 12th of January 2024. Caribbean Galaxy, a limited liability company incorporated in St. Lucia, have a registered, well, you don't need that registration and all of that, but I want to make the point that Caribbean Galaxy was granted the option of constructing roads in St. Lucia or engaging local persons and paying them. And we heard so much about the year of infrastructure. Caribbean Galaxy Real Estate on page 3 says, shall be reimbursed for the project through the receipt of qualifying investments of 6,000 applications pursuant to option 3 of the enterprise option on the CIP. So another 6,000 units granted. So the CIP has a responsibility to inform St. Lucia of what has happened with the infrastructure project. The government of St. Lucia, the Prime Minister, the Minister for Investment, who is in charge of the CIP, and the Minister of Infrastructure needs to tell St. Lucians how many passports were sold, how much money did Galaxy collect, and how much of these funds have been spent on our roads. Because when I see the Grosley Road being patched, a road, your main road to the north, and I've said it before, you are supposed to see a patch, you're not supposed to feel the patch on the road. But these patches are like speed bumps, or as somebody described it, it's like the pimple roundabout that we have next to S&S. Our roads remain in a deplorable condition, but our information is revealing that millions and billions of dollars have been collected by the various entities. So as we go into the season, I want St. Lucians to pay attention to what we are saying. There are still no answers. And if Mr. Martinez had no case, why is it that diplomatic immunity is what was used? And I agree with Mr. Martinez. That's not his case to fight. This is a case for St. Lucia to fight. And it is the commitment of this United Workers' Party that we will do what is necessary to find where this money is, to know who received the monies, and what it was used for. Because obviously it's not being used for the Canals Resort, and it is not being used for the infrastructure program. And there's no housing project going on at Rock Hall at this point in time. So the question remains, 628 files, 6,000 files, and 5,000 files. All together. We want the CIP unit, before you begin to celebrate, tell us what has happened. We want the minister to come and explain why they had to use diplomatic immunity. All the accusations leveled at former leader of the United Workers, or leader of the United Workers' Party, and former Prime Minister, Honorable Alan Shasney. I never heard him use diplomatic immunity to clear himself. All the accusations made at me when I was in government, I never had to use diplomatic immunity. In fact, even in a protected environment like the Parliament of St. Lucia, the rights of the leader of the opposition was breached by the Speaker and others within the Parliament of St. Lucia. But now, people who may not even be entitled to diplomatic immunity outside of St. Lucia is getting diplomatic immunity in order not to answer. So St. Lucia, this is just one chapter of this story. There is a lot more that will be revealed in the new year. And I want to assure you, St. Lucia is not out of hot water in this situation, because the diplomatic immunity will end at some point in time. And in government, we passed a law when we were in office that no matter how many years after, once you operated illegally in government and you were in breach of the Finance Administration Act and these things, there's no statute of limitations. So in due course, those who have acted inappropriately will be called to answer. I ask St. Lucians to pay close attention to what has been happening, and don't allow the use of diplomatic immunity, because we saw the case of Rovergate being thrown out because the newly installed acting comptroller of customs went and withdrew the case So Mr. Healy has not been vindicated on the Range Rover issue. It was just something that the case was not heard. Also, he has not cleared his name on that joint account with Jufali. And neither have the issues pertaining to CIP that he is head of been cleared in any way. So him using and others in St. Kitts using diplomatic immunity to avoid facing the courts may be a bump in the road for now. But that is not the end of this story. And in due course, I know you will hear a lot more about it. May God bless us as we go through the holiday season.